you're fighting too much with force, too much with chit chat. And I'm not a chit chat person unless I'm sitting here to come and speak some words of wisdom. Next year, anybody messing with me, it's time for me to just dust off that degree, wherever it is, I don't even know where it is, to just dust it off and practice law, because I just need to be serving people, writing them letters. Do you even take your life seriously? Like, do you take your life seriously that you just set the foundation of protection strategy so that anytime you are called to war, you're able to really rise up to the occasion? My name is Belsa Abo Ame of Belsa Abo Consultants, and here we just love all things wellness, productivity, and we just love to have conversations about how to develop ourselves, how to develop the world, our societies into the elevation that we seek for our lives. And today's conversation has just been inspired by another project that I've been doing and an encounter that I had. And we're wrapping up the birthday month. Last week was a little bit lighter, talking about just feelings of overwhelmingness and what to do with them. And now we're really back into the flow of things. We're back into the overwhelming nature of things. And as things happen, you just have different experiences because of different people. I don't know what's happening with the state of service provision in this country, Botswana. I'm just, honestly, I don't even understand. The informal sector, your people need a lot of work. You guys have to do so much work on yourselves. And, it's funny. All these people that I always experience are in the informal sector, and just the way that they do things is just so fascinating. And these are also meant to be people who are entrepreneurs. So I'm like, okay, if the state of entrepreneurship in the country is like this, there's a lot of work to be done. So the spiritual gangster that I am, has been going through just different awarenesses and different experiences. And one of the experiences that I had was a person who was creating a piece of furniture for one of the projects for my clients. This man, in doing the bench, he took his time. I paid him his deposit fee. He said the bench will take 7 days to make. The bench ended up taking 1 month to make, over a month actually, not even 1 month, over a month. And each time I'd follow up on this gentleman, he would tell me like, you know what, Bal, I'm so busy. I'm busy with my other projects. And I'll just be like, excuse you, sir, are you doing me a favor? Am I not a client as well, who you gave a timeline, a specific timeline? And I'm telling you that this place is gonna experience an opening. So therefore, we are working on timelines, right? Cool. So the man then, being that he's in a state of hunger and survival, finished the bench because he needed what? He needed money from me, his balance, supposedly. I went to collect the bench. When I collected the bench, he's like, give me my balance. I said, you don't have a balance with me. Actually, you owe me. And he was like, no, give me my balance. You owe me my balance of 200 bula. I was like, no, sir. I paid you a deposit that was beyond 50% because he was meant to do 2 benches. So he charged per bench. And then I was like, okay, since you're doing 2 benches, let me pay you 50% deposit of both benches. And because the 50% deposit was an odd figure, it had like 25 in the end, I was just like, you know what, let's just round it off to just hundreds and I'll give you that. So it was slightly more. Then he's like, no, that I can't leave. I should pay him his deposit there. Just trying to put pressure. So you can imagine, this grown man in his 50s and, the little girl that I am, 31 at the time that this took place, but I'm 32 now. Birthday month. Yeah, so just exerting that force, that masculine energy over me and pressure to pay him. And I just stood my ground. I said, no, the accounting team has to do the accounting, and we have to check our paper trail to ensure that truly what you say you are having a balance of, we give it to you, because as where I stand, you owe us. Long story short, a few days later, after him raining curses upon my life and just insulting me, a few days later, when I now had the time, because remember when he was making the bench, he didn't have the time to finish it off since he was acting like he was doing me a favor. So I was like, okay, cool. So now he wanted me to prioritize me checking this paperwork, and I'm like, I'm not doing any of that. You've already taught me that you don't put me on a scale of priority in your world, so I don't even know or understand why you feel like you're deserving of being on a certain level of priority when it comes to my business affair in my life. Eventually, I check. And when I check, I find that no, I gave him excess. He's been paid in full. He's done one bench. He's been paid in full for that one bench. And he actually owes me a small amount from that was meant to be for the second bench. And I call him up. I sent him pictures of, and this is everything in his own writing. I sent him his quotations, his invoices. And I just went to the month that I was dealing with him at the time when we made the first initial transaction, went to it, took pictures, scanned, and I sent to him, and I said, actually, you owe me. And I share the story because I had a reflection point with it where I was like, it's not enough to just be a spiritual gangster. You also have to make sure that you cover all bases when it comes to your processes, your procedures, and how you do things. And just in simple terms, just have a paper trail. These people, when you deal with people of informal sector or just service providers, have a contract agreement of like the work that you're doing. Have the quotations that they gave you. Have invoices that they gave you, because these streets can be really, really wild. And you have to also just take yourself in that level of seriousness where you say you in your individual capacity, you are the business, your household is the business, have the receipts for your household. If you bring somebody to wash your carpeting, your carpets, have a contract with that person, make sure you get the receipts and you file everything, because you just never know what life is gonna throw at you. And you need to make sure that you cover all bases, because if somebody comes and puts pressure on you and say, actually, this is my account of the truth, be like, okay, there's my version, your version, and then there's the paper trail, because we're what? We're gangsters. We operate with a code of covering all bases. So if we cover all bases in the spiritual realm, if you watched my video about spiritual gangsterism, if that's even a term, if you watch my video about just fortifying yourself spiritually so that when you enter any room, people feel you spiritually, it's just not enough. It's not enough to fortify yourself spiritually. You also have to fortify yourself skillfully. You also have to fortify yourself with integrity, and integrity in how you do things, so that when somebody comes and tells you an account of things, you say, actually, the brain sometimes can reenact account of things according to what is convenient for it. So let's not rely on the brain right now because it's being clouded by the emotions. Let's actually just rely on the evidence, on the paper trail, and it's interesting because my training is in law. I studied law and I did my postgraduate in international development, and I never practiced law. I got into entrepreneurship and got into the thick of things so that I can come and do these things. I went to the front line of the war so that I can come here and tell you what I saw in the front line, so that you don't have to see the things that I've seen. That's why I make those videos. So when I went through this train of thought anyway, back to what I was saying, it really took me back to my lawyer side, where I was like, all these arguments that I'm even having with these people, I'm using too much force, not power. And you have to put yourself in a place in life where you operate from a place of power and not force. And these little things of covering the bases, making sure that you have the paper trail, making sure that everything is organized in a certain way that you are able to really understand and access information easily, really gives you a lot of power, so that you're not out here using force and threatening people. Because I tend to use a lot of force, but I was just like, it's time for me to just dust off that degree wherever it is. I don't even know where it is, to just dust it off and practice law, because I just need to be serving people, writing them letters. That's what this whole journey has taught me. You're fighting too much with force, too much with chit chat, and I'm not a chit chat person unless I'm sitting here to come and speak some words of wisdom. So I was just like, I need to be writing letters. Next year, anybody messing with me, spiritual gangsterism, and then also lawyer gangsterism. But yeah, those are my 2 cents today, guys. Take yourself seriously. You are the business, and anything that you're doing is the business, and it's very much worthy of you covering all bases, even if it's boring, because you need to make sure that when it's time for war, or when you're put in the front line of whatever conflict or misunderstanding, you've got evidence. And on top of that, as you've seen my videos in the past, you're fortified spiritually. My name is Belce Abo Ame, and I hope you really enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know what you think of what we just had a conversation about, or well, what I just purged onto you, then we had a conversation. But I would love to have a conversation, and that's why I'm asking you to leave a comment. Thank you so much. Tuning out. Mwah.